The Nets have beaten the Clippers. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It's great to be here with all of you today. 11:31 a.m. here on the East Coast. It is the 3rd of February in 2021. We are halfway through the week, and this weekend, of course, is going to be what we anticipate is one of the more exciting Super Bowls. We have a lot to break down today. Carson Wentz apparently is getting listed on offers from the Eagles. It's not that big of a surprise. We'll cover some of those reports. Those are hot off the presses. But, of course, the big story today, Nets beat the Clippers, Celtics beat the Warriors. But before we get started with any of that, Gavin, how are you doing today?
Zach, I'm doing good. Listen, I called last night's game. Zach, I said, actually, I called both of them. I said Steph Curry won't have enough. He'll have a Steph Curry game, but won't have anybody to back him up. And I called a Brooklyn Nets win. Zach, we're going to break that down, but how you doing?
I'm doing well. Look, I'm happy to be here. We got an exciting show going on today. But, again, as a Sixers fan, you're not really rooting for the Nets. They look dangerous last night. They look scary. They look like the team that they should be, on both sides of the board. It was not a shootout in any way whatsoever. It was a very comfortable game. It had a very playoff feel to it. And if you're a Sixers fan, that's not that good to hear. But look, that was like an all-star game last night. There were 5 potential all-stars on that court. You have obviously Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And on the other side, you have the big three in Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. And Serge Ibaka was also on the court. The reason I point that out is because that's the entire team from the Oklahoma City Thunder with the exception of Russell Westbrook. But look, bottom line, Nets looked great last night. Can they be beaten? I think so. That's not that hard of a question. But will they make it out of the East? That's a different question. At the moment, I don't think anybody's beating Brooklyn. The only one that can beat them is themselves and their defense at some points, which is very concerning. But Gavin, Steve Nash, rookie head coach, has a good supporting staff around him. Still, the bench is very questionable. In order for the Sixers to be able to beat them, which they play on Saturday, we anticipate that it will be both sides as healthy as they can be. You're going to need Ben Simmons to have a 40-minute game. You're going to need Tobias Harris to have a 40-minute game. Because when they have their bench players and you have to be able to run the table, and then when you're 5-on-5 of the starters, you got to be able to outlast them.
Zach, you know what's frightening about Brooklyn last night is, Zach, and you touched on this when the James Harden trade first came out, was the selfishness between these three guys. Zach, all of them are arguably that you could say that the scoring all time, the best scorers, the scorers list of right now, literally falls in order. They have the top 5 they have 3 of the top 5 players on their team when it comes to best ISO scorer, and Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. But here's the deal, Zach. James Harden said last night, I'm not coming here for points. I'm coming here to get wins, get the job done. Zach, he's proven that every day that he doesn't care about his points. Zach, points is the least matter to any one of these guys, it seems like. Zach, Kevin Durant was 11-13 last night. He had 28 points. That's efficient. That's really good. You only took 13 shots. You had 28 points out of them. Also, Zach, Kyrie Irving was unconscious, showstopper, box office, or you name it, he was there last night. If they could play like this and the unselfishness doesn't, come into play, and they can keep the ball moving, they can keep the ball flowing like it was in Golden State when Kevin Durant was there, this team is dangerous. Zach, now the defense is another thing. Zach, defense looked pretty good in my eyes. You don't get 120, vice versa, than 130, 140 the other night. But here's my major problem with the defense of the Brooklyn Nets. They don't have a real big, all right? No disrespect to DeAndre Jordan. Jeff Green, I like you, but you're not tall enough to be down there. You don't have a dominant big. Zach, if they had a guy like an Andre Drummond, in my opinion, should never got rid of Jared Allen. But you're not going to be able to move DeAndre Jordan because Kevin Durant and DeAndre Jordan are tight like this. So, Zach, if they can get themselves a true center that's just there for grabbing rebounds, regardless of what else, grabbing rebounds and maybe setting screens and occasionally dunking the basketball, they would be a dangerous thing, a dangerous problem. Andre Drummond was the guy they were talking about being moved in the deadline, going there perhaps. I can see, I don't know for what. Maybe you get rid of one of your first round. Maybe you get rid of the pick. I don't know what you're going to do, how you're going to bring him in, but maybe, Zach. Or they go out and they find a veteran presence, somebody cheap that won't cost them much. I don't know, but you need a center. That's my only biggest problem with Brooklyn. Is that Kevin Durant is taking the number 1 option every night. He's taking that guy. James Harden, as much as I crucify him for his defense, he's grabbing rebounds. I was like, that's the only thing. They don't have anyone that can grab rebounds. And I want to say their lack of size on the perimeter with Kyrie, is kind of another problem too.
That was one game last night. It was exciting. It was a great game to watch, but it's only one game. On the other side, they lost to the Wizards, but that's also one game. NBA playoffs are a best-of-7 series, and we've seen a lot of good teams go down in that process. This team is concerning because they can score from anywhere. The essential question is who can stop them in the East. And honestly, the least of my thoughts would be Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not going to be able to compete. Their window is closed. It closed last year. They dropped the ball when they lost to the Miami Heat. The Celtics can't stop it. The Pacers can't stop it. And any of those teams, the Sixers are their only hope because of their defensive abilities, but their offense isn't strong enough to be able to compete against this Brooklyn Nets team. So the question in a 7-game series is, can you force them to be inefficient 4 out of the 7 nights, right? Can you outscore them in 4 of those games? That's what matters at the end of the day. Those are the points. And so the Sixers have a great defense. Can anyone stop and beat on that team? If they get Andre Drummond, yeah, I'm going to be very worried. But there's nobody, no matter how much of a Sixers fan you are, no matter how much you may love these players, can say that the Sixers will beat the Nets in a 7-game series. I honestly don't think they can right now. They need another piece. I don't know what that piece is, though. What's gonna magically come in and fix it? Bradley Beal? Possibly, but what are you giving up for that? All right. In the playoffs, you're going 2 guys deep into your bench. For them, that's going to be Joe Harris.
Golden State.
For us, for the Sixers, it's going to be Shake Milton and probably Dwight Howard. And maybe you'll get 1 or 2 other guys there. The Sixers aren't talented enough to beat this Nets team. And relatively speaking, in most years, the Sixers will be the most talented team in the East. They're the best fit. They have the talent. They have the coaching. But you have 3 once-in-a-generation talents at their respective positions on the opposing side. And the depth and the defense is going to be put to the test. But if they keep rolling like they are right now, there's no reason to believe they're not going to be atop the East by the end of this year and atop the East come playoff time.
Zach, if Joel Embiid were to go against Brooklyn right now, he should get 50 points. 50. There's no center there, right? DeAndre Jordan, he owns him. Zach, no disrespect to DeAndre Jordan, but his better days are behind him. Lob City and a little bit of Dallas, but that's pretty much it. But the only reason why I give the Sixers a chance is their size. All right? Ben Simmons on KD, right? I guess you would put Danny Green and what, James Harden or Kyrie Irving? And then you have to play Chase around, and then you have to just rotate on whoever gets the next man. They could do it. Zach, the Sixers could do it. But it's like what you said to me earlier in the show when we started. When the Rockets are going, and this is when James Harden and the Lakers, this is when they were going against each other. You said the Rockets had to outshoot the Lakers not once, not twice, but 4 times. Zach, the Sixers don't have you. These guys can do it. If one guy has an off night, there's 2 other guys that are capable of going for 50 points, whatever they please. I mean, Zach, come on. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, you saw what they did to Milwaukee. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know Chris Middleton, my least favorite player in the NBA, should have passed away. Giannis should have played for overtime, didn't do it. You saw what they did to them. I'm still waiting on the Brooklyn versus the Lakers matchup. I'm waiting on that, Zach. I'm waiting for that one. But no team in the East stands a chance versus this Brooklyn Nets team except for the Philadelphia 76ers. Due to and the fact that Ben Simmons can get down low, Zach, it will be a party down low if Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid would just score down low and Steph Curry can hit his shots. It's a party. Could they win in 4 games? No. I can see if the Sixers and Nets meet up in the playoffs, which is most likely going to happen, I could see that being a 7-game series. And if it gets to 7, the Nets when it gets questionable.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd take in that. If you had Jimmy Butler with his current roster, that's an easy yes because you know who can knock down those clutch buckets. You have no one right now who you can count on to do that. Tobias Harris could change my mind. He did it against the Lakers. If he can step up and do it, possibly. It's not, for those wondering, it's no. A Ben Simmons jump shot would not make the difference between beating the Nets or not. As impractical as people want to comment on that, I know he still should shoot 15-footers, but we know in the playoffs when it matters the most, he's not going to shoot it anyways. It's a mathematical decision. He's not going to make them most likely. If Embiid can come out there and do his job, if you can get a couple other guys, the difference, I would say, if you take Danny Green and you trade him with Mike Scott and maybe bundle a few picks for Buddy Hield or something like that, then maybe we're in the conversation for it being able to outscore.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. If you're going to bundle picks for Buddy Hield, you might as well just try to bundle picks and a couple players for Bradley Beal instead. I mean, Zach, I love Buddy Hield, but if you're gonna when you get picks involved, you gotta get a guy that's worth giving up those picks. You gotta get yourself a Bradley Beal. Zach, that's what his 10th straight game with 20 plus points last night. You gotta go Bradley Beal if you're gonna move somebody. You gotta
Well, apparently, there's been both them and Levine and Beal, both the organizations and for Beal's sake, have not expressed interest in the past few days, at least from what I'm reading. But words are words. The opportunity presents itself. We don't know. I think Beal being out of the or not Beal, Buddy Hield being out of the conference would be a good chance, and you wouldn't have to give up too much for him. If you replace Danny Green with Buddy Hield, instantly that can put you in a better conversation. I don't know who else though. I really don't. It would have cost you Ben Simmons to get James Harden. That wouldn't have made you better than the Nets, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, Harden's been looking pretty good for them. He's been efficient. Again, at the same time, we saw how important defense was the other night. If this defense can slow down the Nets on Saturday and prove they can do something, my tune might change. But at the moment, no. The Sixers are not the favorite in the East. I would have to go with the Brooklyn Nets. But coming up after this, Carson Wentz drama continues. We'll have to cover all of it. Bleacher Report coming out today saying that the Eagles are actively shopping Carson Wentz. What does the Jared Goff deal mean for that? People are still sitting on the Deshaun Watson deal. Are the Colts going to look for Carson Wentz? Stay tuned. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. I mean, I was listening to 94.1 yesterday. I was driving around and I was listening, and they were talking about such insults to Carson Wentz. And, it boils my blood, I'll be honest, because he doesn't say much. But then again, I realize a different perspective. If you want to come out and clean up these reports and deny them, why not come out and speak with the media? And that's a question I don't know. There's no certainty right now from the head coach on whether or not Carson Wentz is staying. This organization failed him in a similar way that Deshaun Watson was failed. Look, Jared Goff had a great O-line, great weapons, great defense, great coach. Deshaun Watson had great weapons at one point. That's about it. Not a bad coach. Bill O'Brien's not a bad coach. He's a bad GM. General manager he is. But from the coaching perspective, he's not bad. And I wouldn't call him. I'd say Doug Peterson's better than him. I think that's a given. He has a ring. The Eagles, when all conditions are similar to with Jared Goff, Carson Wentz excels and puts the team on his back. Even last year he did it. After one bad season, why are we giving up on him? I don't know the answer to that. They brought a new head coach, very questionable. He had 2 comeback player of the years. Yesterday, I was more confident Carson Wentz would be starting. Today, I'm not so sure. And until any more reports come out, it's going to be tough. There's so much lack of transparency in the Eagles organization. They talk out of their 99% of the time. It's painful to watch. Organizationally, they don't have any central message that they want. And that's where I stand on it.
Zach, before I get into my take, I saw this tweet that said if we have a training camp QB competition, someone said Winston 5. So I find that a little bit funny to me. But Zach, what does this mean for Carson Wentz? One, ladies and gentlemen, you can't crucify somebody for not wanting to speak on the rumors going around, okay? Zach, the last time I checked, he has a right to say something if he pleases to or doesn't want to. Now, I know that's not what the amendment says. I know I didn't word for word it, but Zach, freedom of speech. All right, he say what he wants, doesn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to. So you can't say nothing about that. But what does this mean about for Jared Goff? The staff was supposed to be a cult. All right, he was totally different than what it was. So here's the deal. When you got a guy like that who just, gets a trade and goes to a different place, now we look at that and we're like, well, wait a minute. They gave up, 2 first-round picks for Jared Goff, and he wasn't half as good as Carson Wentz. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Carson Wentz, I don't care how you say it, he is a Super Bowl champion. Zach, I know he wasn't there, but his hard work, the work he put in that season should have been MVP. He was a Super Bowl champion. So I'm a fact of the matter is this. Zach, I told you off the show, he could get a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. We really can. It's just got to be the right deal, the right team, and everybody has to agree to it. Now, when you talk about who failed, who worse between Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz, Zach, Deshaun Watson, in my eyes, was failed worse. You had a number one wide receiver, the Clemson connection. All right. You had an efficient running back. Zach, I know Lamar Miller was nothing to brag about, but he wasn't the worst. Zach, Lamar Miller was getting the job done. He tears his ACL and you ship him away. All right, let's talk about Jadeveon Clowney on defense. You had Tyrann Mathieu on point. You had AJ Bouye too. Not everyone remembers they had AJ Bouye. So who is most likely and who is dealt the worst hand? Deshaun Watson, because you got rid of everybody that was helping him. Carson Wentz was failed. Zach, they didn't give him the help he needed. They didn't give him the right wide receiver talent. You continuously drafted the wrong idiots to be here. All right. Oh, and by the way, Zach, before I give it back to you, if in this whole QB carousel trading aspect that's going to go on, Matthew Stafford was the first to go. Now, between Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz, if you're Indiana, do you really think that the Texans in your division is going to give you Deshaun Watson? Or would a team outside your division who your coach really loves will give you Carson Wentz? That's what you got to look at it as.
Yeah, look, I don't know. You have Carson Wentz here. Tomorrow marks 3 years since his efforts were paid off. Nick Foles and the Eagles closing out in the Super Bowl. You commit to Carson Wentz, you sign him to a big deal, and then you draft his replacement the next year instead of getting him more help. And then look at that. I don't know what you want him to do. I don't know what you want to ask from him. Oh, play better. Last time I checked, there's 11 players on the field, not one. And don't talk to me about Deshaun Watson's stats. He was dumping it underneath a lot. He's able to be a little more mobile. The defenses they played were not up to par. And it's not an insult to Deshaun Watson because he doesn't have a lot of help. But he had Brandon Cooks this year, which is not a bad wide receiver. Very overpaid, but not bad. He had Randall Cobb for a good amount of the year, and they had a couple other nice pieces. The offense was not really the problem with that team. So Deshaun Watson's stats, I don't really care. Honestly, I'm going to throw him out the window. And it's not an insult to him. But you take a look at the Eagles situation. According to Pro Football Focus, you didn't have a single wide receiver ranked above a 72 this year. For those who don't know, that's horrific. That's horrible.
It's garbage.
Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, and look, they're nice pieces, but they're not superstars. They're not Justin Jeffersons or Stephon Diggs or DeAndre Hopkins. And the O-line, 14 different offensive lines. Show me one quarterback who's going to do well in that. Well, Jalen Hurts did win a game. Yeah, but they averaged 2 points in the second half in all 3 of the games that Jalen Hurts started. And again, not an insult to Hurts, but this is a toxic place for quarterbacks to succeed. So why in 1 year where everything got blown up in your face, do you as the Eagles, why are you ready to get rid of Carson Wentz? Why are the fans ready? Have you not watched football ever? Do you not know why we have this Super Bowl? I'm just at a loss that the inability for these fans to wrap their head around what this kid can do. Just because he's not talking to the media, he's not denying the reports. Who cares? Look at the way they backed him when he got benched. Fletcher Cox retweeting a post that said, retweet if you want Carson Wentz starting. Lane Johnson and all these guys. I don't want to hear anything. Oh, he can't connect with his teammates that well. I call BS. People are just reaching at this point. He played bad this year. He made bad decisions, but he also forced the ball. We saw it with Hurts in the last 2 games. I don't want to hear it. People said, well, you know what? You want to prove that the quarterback's not the problem? Bench him and see how Hurts does. You benched him. You put in Hurts. He averaged less yards per game passing, a worse passer rating. All right? He had just as many turnovers and just as many sacks. And it's not his fault. That proves my point. My point was proven right in the last 2.5 games. So why are people still on the Hurts train and against Carson Wentz? Someone explain this to me. I don't care what you have to say. When you have a price tag like that, you try to make it work at first. That's my argument. And I feel bad for Hurts. Oh, but what about Jalen Hurts? He's working hard. I don't care. I didn't ask. He didn't ask to be drafted here. I feel bad for him. Ship him somewhere else. But I'm not going to have sympathy today because my organization made a bad decision drafting him. All right? First of all, he's not going to be the future of this team. He might get a few years of nice stuff, but this organization is reluctant to help their quarterback. So what do you expect from him anyway?
The one thing I would never accept when it comes to Carson Wentz is I would never accept slander of his character. Zach, I don't accept any character slander when it comes to any person unless you've seen it on display, Zach. I don't accept Kyrie Irving slander. about his character. I don't accept Carson Wentz slander, and there's a few others I don't accept either. Whenever something goes wrong, they always have to reach. And when I mean always, I'm talking about the media. I'm talking the media always has to reach. Carson Wentz can't connect with this. Carson Wentz can't do that. Carson Wentz is the bad guy. Nick Foles brought everybody in. All right, and where's your proof? Did Carson Wentz come out and say some things? Did Carson Wentz every time I've seen Carson Wentz, Zach, he's always for the people. Always a nice guy. Zach.
He held that. Look at the sideline. Look at the sideline. He was with Jalen Hurts helping him out. He's a good guy. His personality is not the problem. Someone tell me how his personality is the problem. If you enable someone's ego, it's going to show up. Is it up to the quarterback to be able to do it? Have you ever heard the saying, they don't know any better? Someone's got to sit down with him, and they got to not protect his ego anymore. They got to be hard on him so he can develop and be a better quarterback. You enabled him. It's a bad organization. And they'll enable Jalen Hurts too. If you can take advantage of an organization, if you can get your way, who wouldn't do that? All right, I hate to say it, it's bad character, it's bad whatever, but show me who would. Alshon Jeffrey enabled the Eagles this year. He stole money from them. You know who else enabled them? Jason Peters. Where's his slander? He walked into Doug's office and said, I'm going to start at left tackle. I want my money too. Oh, okay. They enable them. It's not just one guy. It's not.
But the guy that doesn't say nothing gets slandered. It's like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
I don't get it.
My last point on this, Zach, is AO1 Foundation, the free food truck. Zach, this man was never appreciated. I said this a couple of shows ago. This guy was never appreciated. Zach, Nick Foles comes in, doesn't really look great at the end of the season, gets lucky versus Atlanta. Zach, let's call it how it is. You get lucky versus Atlanta, you get hot versus Minnesota, and then you win the Super Bowl and you get a statue, but not Carson Wentz. Don't need the MVP season, MVP trophy to show for it. Zach, if you're Carson Wentz, if Carson Wentz were to start acting out, I wouldn't feel bad. I wouldn't even be mad. Zach, act out. You are not appreciated here. Zach, my last point is this. AO1 Foundation, free food truck, no MVP trophy, but he was technically the MVP. Zach, on the way, should have got it. Great guy. Okay, and goes out of his way. And the report that he was pouting on the sidelines after losing his job. Zach, if they would have kicked you off the show, or someone would kick me off the show, wouldn't I be upset for the time?
Odell Beckham literally broke nets, and he got traded to the Browns and got an extension.
Exactly. So I don't really
go through the personality problems with some of these guys. And I like Baker Mayfield, but he put a big shoe in his mouth early in the year, and he had to eat it. Like, honestly, the way that he's run his mouth in the past, the way Josh Rosen ran his mouth the day he was drafted, he had 9 mistakes made ahead of me. Where the heck are you now?
Dwayne Haskins, the league done messed up. You done messed up.
All right, like who else is there out to causing issues? I mean, let's be relative here. Deshaun Watson, as much respect as I have for him, he's not answering an organization's calls. He's tweeting out, "Oh, I'm up to a 10 now." Again, we understand his frustration, but where's the slander for that? Like, people need to just shut up. Why hasn't he come out blatantly and said, yeah, I want to trade? He's just coming out and saying passive-aggressive messages. It's all relative. Quit with the slander until you know what you're talking about.
To be fair with the Deshaun Watson, is the team itself came out and said that. He was doing everything behind closed doors.
Yeah, Cam Newton apparently wanted to trade too, and he disputed it right away when Carolina posted it. They did him dirty there too.
Well, that was the worst one. I
mean, look. We ended yesterday's show talking about Carson Wentz, the same messages today. I mean, honestly, if I'm Carson Wentz, I want to get out of here. These fans don't appreciate what I've done for them. This organization doesn't set me up to succeed. I can go back to the offensive coordinator who helped me play well in 2017, 2018. I went out. Like, why would you not win out of Philadelphia right now? Our fans are brutal. I know that. It's because we're passionate. As much as he says he loves them, once they turn on you, you're not going to want to be here. Y'all are bullying Nick Sirianni just because you're mad Eric Bieniemy didn't get the job. I mean, how do you expect guys to want to be here? Like, what do you expect? I wanted Bieniemy to be here. He spoke about it yesterday. I think he's very professional about it during his media day, and I feel bad, unfortunately. I think an opportunity should come for him in the future. But don't bully Nick Sirianni for it. How's he gonna feel? Because of that hiring decision, a bad decision by Howie Roseman, guys like Jalen Reagor, Nick Sirianni, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside will never live up to the potential of what they really are, which for Reagor was an early second rounder, and Arcega-Whiteside maybe a fourth rounder. Sirianni, who maybe should have stayed as offensive coordinator. Under the microscope, and you're set up for failure. I don't see this working out for this Eagles team. I really don't. It's going to be a long haul. This team is very quickly turning to the Jets, and I hate to say that, but
No, you know what? No, say it, because you know what? I told you. I didn't get a chance to tell you yesterday. Nick Sirianni's press conference sounded a lot like Adam Gase 2.0. A lot of mumbling. Zach, the only thing that was different is he didn't have the crazy eyes looking everywhere. I don't know.
Unlike Adam Gase, Sirianni's a good personnel guy, and he will not lose that locker room the way that Adam Gase
won't. But Zach, you can't tell me that didn't sound like Adam Gase-ish. A little bit. Mumbling of the speech. Like, come on, man.
I don't know what to say anymore. I'm lost for words personally on how bad this organization's been this offseason. I don't know. This team could come out next year and go 10-6 and blow us away. If Sirianni does his job well, I'm going to give him respect and let him work it out. Honestly, we'll be back in the coaching market in probably 2 years. It was a bad hire, in my opinion. But I'm going to stand by it because it's my organization. It's my Eagles. But if I'm Carson Wentz, I 1,000% want out right now. Why would you not? Especially after what Matt Stafford just got, especially after the fact that Jared Goff got traded for what he did. Jared Goff's a system quarterback, which means you need all pieces to be perfect around him. Carson Wentz proved that he can at least win games without wide receivers as long as he has a good O-line. Colts have that. If I'm the Colts, I'm sending the Eagles a second-round pick, and I'm sending them a defensive starter. Possibly I'm going to send them, I guess, Xavier Rhodes and maybe another piece or two. Maybe Marlon Mack you can throw in there since he's been buried in that depth chart.
You know what?
There's a lot you Eagles can do. If the Eagles do trade Carson Wentz, I am drafting a quarterback, though.
Throw Marlon Mack or Naheem Hines in there. We got ourselves a deal.
I'd probably take Mack because Hines and Sanders are just more running backs.
Two in a defensive starter and maybe well, remember, Zach, Marlon Mack is RB1 material.
He is. He's like a Jordan Howard kind of. He plows his way through.
Short yardage
situation. The Eagles really missed out on short yardage situation running backs this year. This football team had a disaster of a year. I do know why, honestly. There's a lot of pieces. But Carson Wentz 1,000% should want out. If I'm Carson Wentz, I want out. The leverage that he has in this organization, whether or not we believe it's justified, I would definitely want out. And after Jared Goff got moved, anything is possible with that contract. Don't worry.
Jared Goff's not even don't get me started, Jared Goff. It's like I don't have enough time to be rambling about Jared Goff. But I will say this. Guys like Jared Goff do not deserve to be getting top-tier money. That's the truth. Zach, what has Jared Goff done to get top-tier money except ride behind a Todd Gurley and a great defense? Zach, he couldn't show up when he needed him to.
And now take Carson Wentz and put him in that situation. How would that have worked out?
He would show up. They'll be in the Super Bowl. They'll be in the Super Bowl or NFC Championship at least.
I mean, it's that plain and simple. Who's the better quarterback? One of them was a top MVP candidate. And the other one got the benefit of being next to an MVP candidate in Todd Gurley. But when the Eagles run the ball more than 25 times, Carson Wentz has like 2 losses in his career. So obviously coaching's part of it. That's all I have for today, honestly. I'm sorry. This is all I have. Every time I listen to sports talk radio, the inability to get your point across, everyone's ego is too big to admit that Carson Wentz can still be fixed. I don't know. If you think that throwing around $170 million like it's nothing is fixing the job as long as you get a first-round pick in return, I don't know what to say. I really don't. Because Howie Roseman's going to mess it up anyway.
Zach, I'm going to say something. And it's going to turn a lot of heads. That same draft class, right? And that was when Dak Prescott and all these guys, right? That was the same draft class. Jared Goff, Dak, and Dak Prescott. Jared Goff should have been drafted in the second round. And Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz are the real true quarterbacks out of that draft class. Give or take, there's probably some other ones in there, but
look at what Dak has had to work with also.
Dak had the
good O-line, top 5 receiving core in the league. They were 8-8 last year. They went 8-8. I don't want to hear the excuses for Dak Prescott because everyone's so obsessed with QB record. Carson Wentz went 5-7 in that season after his ACL. He statistically was better in that year than the year. I don't want to hear QB record. If you don't want to buy QB record, we don't have to. But
here's my point for you. Here's my point for you, Zach. I'm not even talking about. I'm just talking about at all. All right. We know what Carson Wentz brings to the table. We know what Dak Prescott brings to their table. What the hell does Jared Goff bring to any table? What does Zach? What I'm trying to say is this, and for anyone that thinks I'm getting on Jared Goff, I am. What does he bring to the table? And my point in case is not to make an argument that Dak Prescott is better than Carson Wentz. That's not what I'm making.
I still stand by that statement I said a few months ago. I think Dak is a better quarterback, but he's not. Neither one is going to throw a team on their back and win a Super Bowl.
But my argument is this, Zach. Dak Prescott, and this is going back to our early shows, like the first show we talked about when I said Dak Prescott deserves to be paid. If you gave $100 million for a guy that was riding off the dude's last two good years of his knees, and gave him $110 million for him not to do anything.
I mean, they paid Zeke and Amari Cooper before Dak.
Exactly. And Ezekiel failed me twice.
Don't draft him in the first round. You have to give me a call next time you're doing a fantasy draft. You had Antonio Brown and Zeke back in the years.
Did you win? You didn't win that, did you?
Nah, Nick won. I got bested. I was in 4 championships. I won one of them. But with that being said, everybody, thanks for joining us today again with the Carson Wentz saga. We will continue with it. It's going to be a long process.
Zach, you're going to have gray hairs before this is over.
I might. Honestly, we're not even done this season yet, but going into next year, he's going to be under a microscope. He can't make any mistakes if he's the starter, apparently. But, I mean, what do I know? This team is trying to tank or not. They're destroying the organization, whatever. We'll figure out more as we continue to proceed. But, Gavin, anything else you want to say today?
Yeah, 2 quick questions for you, Zach. One, how do you feel about Bruce Arians saying that the coaching hiring should go on after the season? Gives guys more opportunities to interview. Kind of like that idea. I feel like that should have been in place to begin with.
I mean, technically, you can't make any trades before the season's over. I think that you should not be able to have any conversations until the season's over, because it's not like the offseason is not short. You get 5 months. You get you get mini camps, and then you get the draft, and combine, draft, rookie OTAs, break in the summer, more OTAs, training camp, preseason, season. I don't think the Eagles hired Sirianni 2 weeks ago today. No, 2 weeks ago tomorrow. With 3 weeks, we're looking at about 3-4 week difference for a lot of head coaching hires. It's not the end of the world.
And my last thing for you, Zach, is the Patriot Way comments. Danny Amendola said that the Patriot Way is Tom Brady.
Disagree.
You disagree? Who's the real Patriot Way? What's the real Patriot Way?
Patriot Way is do your job. The Buccaneers have not been all doing their job this year. Their defense has had flaws in a lot of games. Their offense has had flaws in a lot of games. Tom Brady himself had flaws in their games. Tom Brady is not the Patriot Way. His personality, the way he carries himself, makes guys want to believe in him and follow him, but it's not sustainable over 25 years. He became the Patriot Way because Bill Belichick created him. Otherwise, he would have been a 6th-round backup for the rest of his career. But Bill Belichick is the Patriot Way. It's become less fun to go play in New England because Tom is not there. But that methodology of do your job still exists in New England. And frankly, if they didn't have so many opt-outs this year, even with Cam Newton, who struggled this year at quarterback, they would have went at least 9-7 and made the playoffs. They looked good early in the year.
The Patriot Way, I feel like it's a 50-50 split, Zach. You had to have people to buy into your belief, your do your job belief, and you also had to have the guy that set the culture about do your job. It's a 50-50 shot. Zach, you said it best. Tom Brady, while he handled himself, made people believe in him and makes people want to play harder for him. That's the 50% of the Patriot Way. And then, Zach, you can't forget about the man himself, Bill Belichick, and the setting the culture, Zach. I think when it comes to Patriot Way, it's 50-50 split. There's not really one true Patriot Way.
If it's raining outside, Bill Belichick's the one saying we're practicing out here, not Tom Brady. I'll leave it at that. We got predictions coming on Friday. We got a lot of fun, of course, the Nets and the Sixers. Stay tuned. We'll have some more exciting shows in the last 2 days this week. But until next time, have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody. Stay safe.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos.